Welcome to the Oneness Wellness Lifestyle Show. I'm your host, Shifat, the natural healing voice of the soul of Mother Earth. I'm so excited to be here with you on today. It is my pleasure to be able to enlighten you. And yes, I'm choosing that word deliberately. So I encourage you to go get your blue pen and your white paper and get ready to take copious notes, because you are about to get that natural healing information you've been seeking. In the areas of healthy mind, body, family, finances, and 18 dimensions of our multidimensional life. Today, we are dealing with the family segment, the healthy family. And this enlightenment that I'm talking to you about has to do with parent alienation awareness. Parent alienation awareness. You may have never heard of that, and so I'm always bringing it to you. And I also would like to share with you that we are on a Facebook Live. So let me just give our Facebook audience some love. Hey, y'all. Right? And so I'm here with my very special guest, Linnell Davis.
You go ahead.
Linnell Davis, and we're going to talk to you about some very exciting things with regard to enlightening your awareness of the things that are happening right under our noses that we are in desperate need of paying attention to, because it affects you and your family at some level. I guarantee you. All right. So this segment is talking about erasing families. This show, Erasing Families documentary. If you haven't heard of it, you've heard of it now. Erasing Families documentary. My friend here, Linnell Davis, is Dads Against Prison and is bringing some clarity to our minds as it relates to what's really going on. Before we jump into the conversation, we're going to take a brief look at a clip from the documentary, Erasing Families. Stay tuned.
It was such a tug of war with whose side are you going to choose. I realized it was just tearing me apart.
It was always, you're on my side or you're dead to me.
The first time my dad saw me, I was in my grandma's arms in a courtroom.
It really felt like she didn't want anything to do with me.
It's hard when you have to stop and think that your child wants nothing to do with you because of what they've been taught.
One parent gets to be a parent and the other gets to be, at best, a visitor, and at worst, completely erased. And a lot of it has to do with our judicial system.
What I remember about being in court was having to lie to the judge. Sorry.
It destroys lives, it bankrupts people every day, it tears children from their homes, and just so happens to be a $50 billion a year industry.
If you don't pay your child support, you're going to go to jail.
Walter Scott decided to bolt from his car. Court documents show he owed more than $18,000 in child support payments.
These fathers are not deadbeat, they're dead broke.
Nothing I said mattered. None of the evidence I brought forward mattered. The judge wouldn't even look at it.
He's nothing like I was told he was.
If there's 22 million adults dealing with this, that's over 22 million children. And the mental health consequences are severe and long-lasting.
It's heartbreaking to me to see how many of you are dealing with this.
My dad was erased from my life.
It's happening all over the world. This isn't a father's rights issue. It's not a mother's rights issue. It's a human right issue.
My daughter here and I have been alienated from each other for the majority of her life. She called me and said, "Dad, it's time to move home," and she came home.
If the court worked in a way where there was 50-50 custody, I'd be happier. I wouldn't feel a void because I've never known a life where one parent wasn't missing.
A new bill would make default custody 50-50.
How come we don't have shared parenting in the law? It's called special interests.
We need more clarity in law to support what is best for children, shared parenting, and this helps move in that direction.
I want to show people that it can have a happy ending.
In about 10 minutes, we're going to leave for the courthouse so I can legally re-adopt my daughter.
So when I first saw this clip, I was enlightened, because to tell you the truth, nobody ever said anything to me about it, ever. I didn't even know it was a thing. You know, sometimes we don't know it's a thing, and it's such a devastating. And I'm choosing that word because I want you to know how serious a topic this really is. The clip shared some of that with you. And so now what I want you to do is pay close attention, and take notes as we engage in this conversation. So, Linnell, tell us, first of all, give us a little bit of background about why you're bringing this to the forefront.
I guess just like everybody, an issue is never an issue until it's your issue. And so that's how I was actually brought into my own shared parenting issue. I'd seen it in my community often, but never knew the dynamics until I became one of those people in front of a judge.
Okay, so this alienation, when you say you saw it, so I want to give it a definition. It's this alienation of what happened in your own life when you were separated from the family, right? And y'all pay attention to this, okay? Because when the man is removed from the family, the whole foundation is removed, all right? So, and if you don't believe that, then you're not paying attention to what's really going on in the world right now. And we're going to get to the crux of that. So if I'm hearing you right, something occurred in your life, right, the separation, and caused you not to be in the life of your girls, 17 and 13, right? Beautiful girls. And now that is your issue. It is the issue. And I have part of that issue too, and we're going to share some of that with you. So a lot of you might think it's about child support. I want to just get that right out. I want to just wipe that away right now. It's not about child support. We want you to know what it's really all about at the deepest level, because you know when you can't get to the healing until you get to the root of the matter. You got to get to the root of the matter, and me and Linnell, we're going to get to the root of the matter right now.
It's going to hurt.
Okay, but he going to smile.
All the way through.
Okay, all right. So So tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Like I shared, I have two beautiful girls. And when the relationship between their mother and I became where we couldn't coexist in the same place, a decision had to be made in the best interest of the girls. Sometimes you see us try to struggle with, is it best to leave or stay? And sometimes staying is not the best option because it creates tension, and that's when you see the violence rates, the domestic violence, the neglect and abuse. So for me personally, having lived this as a child, I knew that there was no way I was going to do that to my daughter. So I decided to leave the home that we shared in their best interest long term.
Okay.
But it was at that juncture that I was told by a judge that my parental rights were being taken. And so it was actually the judge that I went before, because you always hear them tell men, keep your receipts. So when you go to court, you can prove to the judge that you've been doing X, Y, and Z. Well, that's a bunch of crock. They could care less about your receipts. The only receipt the court system is concerned with is the one that they're giving you saying that you paid them.
Saying that you paid them.
They can care less about your children.
I got that. Okay,
right.
Yes, all right.
They want to make sure that you're coming down to the court system, paying your money to us. We're going to take out 5 or 7% and mail your children a check on your behalf.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm standing in this courtroom with these receipts, and I can recall pulling out one receipt that was for $1,000 over, course of 2 years. At this point, we're at the 2-year early mark.
Okay.
And so I'm trying to explain to the judge, well, I'm not one of these black men that you depicted that's having children, being irresponsible, not wanting to man up, whatever the terms that they have given us, that's not me. So I have your receipts the way that we were taught to. But when that judge said to me, so, something went through my soul.
He said, so.
She said, so. She said, so.
Like, so what?
So what? So what? You've been sending money to your children to do the right thing. But you've not been doing the right thing because the right thing is to include us in your financial payments.
So what it means, like send it to them?
Right.
Okay, so you got to pay. You have to pay it to them and then let them pay it. You can't. The father just can't go take care of.
You can't parent.
You can't parent. You can't parent.
Watch out there now.
Wow, you can't parent. Okay, so here's the question that came to my mind. You said that the judge took away your parental rights.
Rights.
Why?
Well, under the law in North Carolina and across most of the states, it's what the judge uses as assumed parenting. It's not even any given facts, any causes. It's what the courts have allowed the judge to use their best guess discretion. And
as to who the best parent is going to be.
That's why I use guess discretion.
Okay.
Because no one is coming to your house to ask, have there been any...
No assessments.
No assessments.
No assessments.
No assessment. The judge is getting your file, case number 100-1, me versus you, and you get you.
So you lose your parental rights at the guess discretion of the judge.
Right.
Who's deciding without an assessment of who the best parent would be for the children.
Your children.
And for your children,
exactly.
For my children,
That's right.
for our children. For our children.
That's right.
For our children.
That's right.
So it's already unraveled.
Right.
Right? There's a problem there. There's a big problem there. So then what happened next? Then what?
Okay, so for me now, I'm a lot different from most men. So once I discovered the devil I was truly dealing with, I went to the law books. I wanted to learn as much as I possibly could on my own versus having an attorney try to dictate the law to me.
Who's not on your side.
No, see, and that's what we think is the case, that the attorney is actually on your side. The attorneys have no side other than the one that's green.
Okay.
And that's all attorneys. That's all attorneys, family court, federal court, district court. I've been doing this for 30 years.
Okay. Doing what? What you been doing for 30 years?
Bail bonding, law enforcement. I've been around these lawyers when they was in first entry, beginning their law firms, when they was just clerks.
Okay.
I saw a lot of these attorneys, especially the black ones, that go to these HBCUs. When I get my law degree, I'm gonna come to my community and I'm gonna do great things. Well, you're part of the problem. You taking money from the system from people that cannot afford your services. And then you go out and tout how great they are.
Okay. So the lawyer is not on your side. The judge has deemed to take away your parental rights. They're not interested in your receipts. They just want you to understand that you are not the parent. You have no custody rights at all.
Right.
So in your case, are you able to see your girls?
Yes. Okay. So again, me being
you are.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So I do use because and based on the circumstances I'm dealing with, and not to go into all of those.
Sure.
So it's not always easy for me to call up their mother, tell her I'm coming to see the girls. So I have to use other methods. And so there may be times when they get home from school, dad's already where you should be.
Okay. So we're going to leave it right there, and we're going to come back, because most men are not you.
No.
And are
they're
not seeing their children. So when we come back, we're going to take you deeper into this, and we thank you for watching. Stay tuned. Happy Healthy Healing Day. I'm Shifat, the holistic healing voice of the soul of Mother Earth, inviting you to watch the Oneness Wellness Lifestyle Show every first and third Saturday right here on Access 21 TV. What do we talk about? Everything from juicing to old school tonics and herbs, what you can do to help yourself get better. We talk about stop poisoning yourself by putting all those chemicals on your body, and all domains of life: healthy mind, body, family, finances, and community. So tune in to the Oneness Wellness Lifestyle Show every first and third Saturday at 9 a.m. I look forward to serving you. Welcome back. We're in a very serious discussion about erasing families. How it is that the criminal justice system is the culprit in erasing families, taking men out of the family and luring the women in with what amounts to 10 pieces of silver, if you get my drift, right? Or trinkets, or not enough, right? And so when the last question I posed to you is that, how is it that you still see your daughters and you say, well, you make arrangements.
I'm gonna get it done.
And you can get it done.
I'm gonna get it done.
And so, and you said something earlier about, you said the judge said so.
Hurt my soul.
And so that triggered something in you to do what?
Well, I knew I wasn't going to allow the court system to determine how I was gonna love those two girls. That was going to be something that we decided, the girls and I. Their mother wasn't going to decide it. Their grandmother wasn't going to decide it. It was going to be basically my daughters and I having the opportunity to have a conversation about where we stood in our own space in love. And to answer your question, the reason why a lot of black and brown men become docile, the courts. Normally, before you get to the separation and divorce, you have a falling out. And when you get that restraining order, see, that's when it starts. Right, because now, see, that's what the courts don't have on Linnell. They can't go to their file and say, Linnell, you've been violent, you've had ugly texts. But not being aware of the future, most men go there. Well, I can't see my son and my daughter, I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z. And so now you've established a pattern of bad behavior.
Okay.
And when you go in this courtroom, that's what she is looking for, a pattern of bad behavior from the black and brown man. So we can all agree now, the mama's the best place for the child.
Okay, all right. So it's an assumption.
Right.
Right, every time.
Every time.
And out of that stereotype, is really what it is. Out of that stereotype, they're saying that the black and brown child belongs with the mother.
Yes, okay? 85% of the time.
85% of the time. And I saw some statistics that said it's 9 out of 10 times, right? Which is ridiculous, right? So now we're in this place where the average black, brown man is not like you. They are docile. They're going to do exactly what the court system said, and they're going to be depressed. They're going to go to whatever it is that it takes to relieve that depression, which may lead to even more bad behavior, right? More bad behavior.
Right.
And as that continues, then that pile stacks up against them. And the only thing that the sister, the woman, the mother is looking for is the check.
Don't you say it.
Because they pissed now, right? They mad, right? Come on, y'all know what I'm talking about, right? You want to break out windows and flatten tires and all that kind of stuff. And worst of all, you don't allow the brothers, the men, and the children to decide how they want to love one another. That is the place I wanted to get to, because that is so profound, the way that you say that, because that's what it really is about. It's about the love factor of the parents and the children. That is the family, whether you got married or not. That is the family structure. And when that family structure is degraded, we now have this degraded community, this degraded society that we live in, that the court system, the family court system to be exact, is making $50 billion a year on sucking the money away from our community through our black men, brown men. So I want you to be really clear and be enlightened on this subject matter, because we even going to go deeper, okay? So be ready. So now that we got the love factor, and we know that the sisters are like bitter, okay? And in some cases, maybe rightfully so, if the brother's putting his hands on you and all that, but yet and still, those are his children too, okay? So what's the recourse? Now what? And is there more that you need to unpack so that we really get the fullness of what we're talking about here?
The recourse for me was understanding the law itself and what actually could and could not take place. But when you are, or your parental rights have been taken, it puts you in a bad place as the non-custodial. That's the term.
The non-custodial.
Non-custodial parent.
Non-custodial parent. Write that down. A non-custodial parent.
So that turns that parent pretty much into a paying visitor by the weekends. Not a parent. You're just a paying person for the weekend. But again, for me though, when people ask me, well, how are your girls? The first thing I say, my babies are fine, and smile. Well, they're not babies. Well, they're always going to be my babies. Mm-hmm. And so I've just had to go pray, ask God for forgiveness for me and their mother. And so I can come from a place of peace. You know, I don't have or wish any ill will toward their mother. I know the stronger black woman she is, the stronger black woman my daughters see. And I must be a part of that as well. And so I must encourage her to do well. I wish her well and I pray her well.
Yes, that's beautiful.
But when it comes to daddy, that's me, period. Mm-hmm. And so after the soul-wrenching soul from the judge, she looked at me and said, well, Mr. Davis, you have a confused look on your face. Yes, ma'am, I'm confused. What's your confusion, Mr. Davis? Why am I in a courtroom fighting you for something that's already mine?
Okay, that's deep.
So I don't want to get entangled in a discussion that does not bring my daughters and I closer together. All those courtroom discussions are conflict-driven. Why are they conflict-driven? The courthouse must have conflict because it creates billable hours. Now,
Cha-ching.
Who receives the billable hours? Those attorneys.
The attorneys. The attorneys.
See, 2 and 2 is 4, even if I write it down in Japan. Mm-hmm. That's why when we go to the North Carolina Law Board and ask will they join us on reissuing Bill 645, they say no. We're not going to join you in the fight for shared parenting. But it seems so common. It seems so right.
Okay, wait. We gotta rewind here. We gotta back up a little bit because you just dropped
a major bomb.
Yes, some hugeness, right? We say ginormous stuff. Okay, so you just introduced the fact that there is a Senate bill.
Yes, ma'am.
Senate Bill 645.
That's being proposed.
That's been proposed. I have it right here on my desk in front of me, and it says keep both parents in the life of the child. Shared parenting.
That's what it is.
Shared parenting.
Shared parenting.
So the bill has been introduced.
And denied twice. So it comes up every 2 years. So the next time that we're able to introduce it is going to be 2022.
Okay, so here's what's really happening. we're having this conversation to garner support for shared parenting in 2020, so that by 2022, okay, that means we got some work to do, that by 2022, we can get this passed. This can get passed.
Well, sister, now I'm making a correction right here. So,
okay.
If you show me a shirt, show me a shirt. Show me a shirt. The shirt says Shared Parenting 2020. This needs to be a political agenda for every Democratic nominee right now, today.
Now.
This doesn't need to be kicked down the road anymore. We do not need to lose any more fathers to the incarceration for non-support related issues. If you are thinking about a candidate, your candidate needs to be able to tell you why he or she is not in favor of shared parenting. Their own national statistics, everything the federal government do, it tracks. Their own study says when you have two active parents, not married, not together, not living in the same household, but just actively involved in a child's life, you have a better, well-rounded child. Federal study.
And some of the studies that I've done, just knowing in the research that I needed to do, not only does it say that you have a more well-rounded child when you don't have that. So when it's torn apart, okay, when you have a custodial parent and you have this adversarial relationship, the children actually grow up psychologically damaged.
Right.
Psychologically damaged, which leads them to all kinds of bad behavior. All kinds of bad behavior. So I want to talk about this parent alienation part, because it seems to me that the reason for the shared parenting, number one, is for the love. Number two is so that the children are well balanced, right? They can grow up and be well balanced adults. But what's happening is that the parent, whichever one has them, in most cases it's the women that have them, right? I have a case where in my personal life, because I want you to know why this is so sensitive to me, in my own personal life, I was an alienated parent. As the mother, my children were with their father, okay? So this is dear to me. So what I want you to really get here is that as women being angry, what causes the alienation and the problem with the children is when we talk bad about the father in the presence of the children and call him all kinds of whatever, right? And then go tell your daddy this, and we need this from your daddy, and all those conversations are going on, and you put the children, the innocent ones, in the middle of the relationship, and you are defaming, slandering, defamating, right? Character defamation of the other parent. This is a problem. Before we can even get to the shared part,
that's right.
Right? We got to handle this, and we want to talk to you about this. Why we're doing this, why I'm so passionate about being here with Brother Linnell, so we can get it out to you. We're going to even go deeper after we come back from this break into this state Senate bill, and we actually have a letter from a United States Senator. So stay tuned. You're watching the Oneness Wellness Lifestyle Show. We'll be right back. Peace, love, and light. Shifa Ali here, the natural healing voice of the soul of Mother Earth. And I want to ask you a question. Did you know that for many people, 25% of their midsection, their fecal matter, is what's causing them to have problems in their body in terms of health and well-being? The average person is carrying around a whole lot of, and that's what the problem is. So how do you detoxify from that? You drink live water. How do you detoxify from that? You start flushing your internal system. Now, you already knew that, but I asked you, did you know? Okay. I'm Shifa, and I look forward to seeing and talking with you again. Take good care. Peace, love, and light. We're back, and in heavy, hot discussion. If you could be here, we've got a studio audience, and Brother Linnell is just dropping it, and the questions are coming in from Facebook and coming in from our studio audience, and I've got some more questions myself. First of all, we want to get back to this Senate bill, and I also want to let you know that there is this premiere of Erasing Families, the documentary coming up on March 7th, and it is in support of Shared Parenting 2020, Shared Parenting 2020, and it has to do with this General Assembly of North Carolina 2017 Senate Bill 645. So there's laws already on the books, keep both parents in the life of the child, and that is what this is about. But there's already laws on the books, Section 1 of the General Statute. So couple things. What are we looking to do with the law that's already on the book? And then let's segue into supporting and galvanizing the support for the change. So what's the change that needs to be made? Let's talk about solutions.
Okay, so the Senate Bill 645 that was proposed to the Senate, and it's been proposed twice or three times now. You have to do it in 2-year cycles. It only removes the word presumption. The judges are basing the decision on what parent is best on presumption. No finding of fact, no evidence placed in the evidence. You've not proven abuse, neglect, or anything that you would red flag you. Oh, wait a minute.
No assessment, like we said before.
No assessment. You come
just
in
an
court,
assumption.
Just an assumption. A presumption.
A presumption.
Not an assumption.
Oh.
A presumption, because the presumption says that, and please, nobody takes offense, but I don't care. Most of the judges in family court are women. Oh, watch out here now.
Okay.
When a man comes into this hostile environment, he's already dead.
Right, because the women are already mad.
And the judge is too.
And she's one of the women.
That's right, she's one of the women.
She's one of the women.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And the stereotype now.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
The stereotype now is actually standing before her, not the person.
No.
Not the man. And then the other part of the experience is that once you have that experience, you're not trying to go back in there no more.
Not for the black and brown men, because you've been accustomed most of the time to creating or being involved in street level crimes.
Okay.
Where an attorney is given to you by law.
Mm-hmm.
In a civil family court issue.
Civil family court issue.
The law states that we're not required to give you legal representation. I challenge that though.
So wait a minute. Wait a minute. So you mean to tell me you stand in front of a judge, no legal representation at all, just you against them.
There you go.
Them against you.
Yep.
And you can't have any type of legal representation.
Now, what the courts are saying is, we're not going to do what we do in criminal cases. We're not going to provide this one for you. Now, you can have legal representation, but it goes back to those attorneys that I was talking about that's going to charge you $1,500 to take your case. 6 weeks later, he's going to call you on the phone. Before I go to court with you, I need another $1,500. Tomorrow's court, I need another $1,500. So before you actually get in the courtroom to have your case heard, you down $8-9 grand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we already talked about it being, the court system a cash register. Let's just say that, right? Cha-ching. And to the tune of $50 billion.
Say it again.
$50 billion with a B.
Annually
coming out of the pockets of men who have been estranged from their children and incarcerated. many times, right? And incarcerated.
Well, the incarceration part is a part of the whole gamut because it's going to be deep. Jail is the only place where slavery still is allowed. Slavery
I told you this. I told you it's my brother right here, right?
Exists only in the jail setting. Well, what do you mean that slavery is in the jail? Well, why do you think they have inmates on 60-day terms, 90-day terms? You are called a trustee. You wash the car, you cut the grass, you wash the mats, you feed the inmates the lunch, you mopping the floors. All that work is being done should be done by contractors. Each state know if they brought in contractors to feed the inmates, come and cut, hire like we do our own lineman, somebody got to pay the bill. But why would we do that when we got black people serving time, doing nothing? But now we did that before. If you remember, it called it slavery. We built America.
Well, not only did we do it one time, we still doing it. Okay, we still doing it. And, you know, we know that this might be a hard pill, but it's the truth. And it's only the truth that's going to get us to the solution, to the solution. And the truth has to be brought out so that some form of enlightenment can dawn in our consciousness, right? I talked to you about the different dimensions that we have to do this healing in. And this is one of those, the dimension of healthy family. This is the dimension of healthy family. And in this dimension, we have this filth going on, this toxicity that's actually happening. And we can see it every single day in the faces of our brothers who probably are our fathers and sons and grandsons and nephews, right? They're family members, is my point. And in this trap that is still about slavery. That is still about slavery. So as long as one slave is allowed to exist on the planet, we are all slaves. And then the women who are having this conversation have enslaved their heart and mind in this whole thing and hold the bitterness on behalf of the court system. So they're being used. You're being used, beloved. You're being used to the demise of your own family and your own community. And I'll dare say, as black people, it is to the demise of the planet. All over the world. This is not just happening here in America. Okay? So we've got some more we want to share because there's more paper here. And we actually have
that's Senator Tim Scott.
Senator Tim Scott,
South Carolina, was called and asked, where did he stand personally on shared parenting, an issue that affects black and brown communities more than any community across the board. So there was not a political question posed to him. I called myself, and the question was, where does the senator stand on shared parenting? And this is the response.
And so basically it's like, thank you for asking the question, and I greatly appreciate your interest in the actions and policies of your government, right? However, on this specific issue, he says it's out of his jurisdiction. This is not, it says that the specific issue about which you wrote me, and this sounds like a boilerplate if you ask me, the specific issue which you wrote me is one that is regulated at the state level. So now we're playing ping pong, right? We're going to throw it back to the state, which means that the Senate does not have jurisdiction over it. As a strong supporter of the separation of powers between federal and state government. So now he's asserting
his personal beliefs.
His right. And also you asked the senator.
The senator.
You asked the senator. So now you got the senator's reply.
Yes.
You're not going to get Tim Scott reply, because he's gonna always be acting through the office of the senator?
Well, that's where, again, we talked about it earlier, I think maybe off camera. A lot of times, oh my God, here goes some name shouts. It's going to hurt.
Because we got to talk about the sponsors of this bill.
Well, okay, so when I came along, I met, and let me give a shout out to Miss Sheila Pelzer. She was unable to make it due to a prior engagement, but she had been working at this bill for over 10 years and told me she'd already, her and her husband, and she's the grandmother, had already spent in excess of $250,000.
Okay, $250,000.
Okay, so, and I sure, my thing was a little drop in the bucket, but even at that level, it's tough.
Yes.
But how many in the audience or on Facebook know of a person that can go get $250,000 to be represented?
To see their grandchildren.
The grandchild. And so before we go on, so I want to throw a couple of laws at us because it's going to kind of clear it up for us.
Okay, thank you.
Barack Obama, whether you liked him or not, I do consider him one of the smartest guys that ever held the office of presidency. And so this is what it's called, Barack Obama's so-called midnight regulations. And one of his midnight last regulations were, he called on the states to set realistic child support amounts so that non-custodial parents do not accumulate debt they cannot afford and get stuck in a cycle of incarceration. Now, sister, the political candidates are talking about justice reform. And I asked you earlier, how can we reform the system if we don't even want to talk about the one that does the most damage? I said earlier, black people do not like state court. We do not like federal court. But some kind of way, my sisters are halfway okay with going into a family court. It's mind-boggling.
And unfortunately, y'all are using the family court like it's your personal pit bull on the brothers. And you need to stop it, period. You need to stop it.
So one more thing it says.
We're gonna take a break. We're gonna come back to that one more thing. And we're gonna wrap it up with the solutions and when the documentary airs so that you can be present. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
If you want to get a lot of people very angry at you, and you're in the health profession, it's fairly simple. Begin to cure incurable diseases.
It would ruin the economy. Billions of dollars.
Cancer is one of the richest multi-billion-dollar industries in the world, and every cancer patient is a commodity.
The huge pharmaceutical companies have everybody in their pocket, from the president on down to the senator's representative. Everybody gets paid.
Something's terribly wrong when you treat cancer and your hair falls out and you vomit. This is truly medieval.
People in the United States and developed countries who are treated for cancer don't even die of cancer. They die of the treatment of cancer.
Many years from now, people look back at this time and wonder what kind of Neanderthals we were.
A prophet many years ago, he said, "My people perish for lack of knowledge."
And we're back in this very hot topic situation. I'm about to get my dander up around here. I'm probably telling my age. I don't even know if people say that anymore. But
old school.
Yeah, old school for real. We're talking about this Senate bill, and we need to talk about who the sponsors of this bill is and where they stand on it right now. So can we do that? Because we're going to wrap this up with some solutions. We got to wrap this up with some solutions and a call to action. Call to action. You got some work to do.
Okay, so again, when I first became aware of the movement, or Ms. Pelzer rather, Joel Ford was in the Senate, but he's no longer in the Senate. So it was co-sponsor Senators Bryant, Ford, Foshees, primary sponsors Smith, Ingram, Van Dyke, Waddell, and Woodard. So now Waddell and Woodard are local politicians. Local.
Wow.
You were elected by the people of Mecklenburg County to go to the legislative building to represent the issues surrounding your community. Name one thing you done. Now, I've tried to get in touch with Senator Waddell and Senator Woodard, but you want everything to be, I didn't hear that, and I didn't know that. Well, if you check your calendar, you'll see a call from me or Miss Sheila Pelzer inviting you to different events, come out and express your position on a bill that you co-sponsored. Now, we can't even get a word out of it because what I was told, sister, I was told by Senator Toby Smith.
Okay.
That the black Democrats ain't gonna move because they're scared of the white Republican legislators. So if you're a black candidate and you are afraid to go against your white counterpart, you're the wrong candidate. Because now, if we think back to why did the slave master remove the mayor from the house? There's a study called the bull elephant study. And please pull up on YouTube and your phones while you're at home. If you take the male bull elephant from the herd, the young bulls run amok. That's what you see in our community. The war on drugs removed the bull elephants. Hundreds and thousands of fathers, uncles, big peewees in the neighborhood were swept off the streets in massive numbers. That's why they won't do the same thing with opiates. That's why you see all these opiate clinics. They believe in treatment for them, incarceration for us.
Yeah, I'm so glad that that you brought that up because in the 80s and 90s, and I'm old enough to remember that, okay? In the 80s and 90s, when it was heroin and crack, not even crack cocaine, it was powder.
But see, the law changed when Linnell died in '86, and it went to the crack became the epidemic.
The epidemic.
So the same drug, powder, rock, became a mandatory minimum sentencing guideline.
And some people got up to 30 years or more.
Yes.
For the substance. And now we're dealing with an opioid clinics.
Now remember I said to your sister, there's a guy keeping a statistic. There's a white guy saying
they're always keeping the numbers.
A white guy saying now, if we go with the war on opiates, we're going to remove hundreds of thousands of fathers, uncles, and big friends from our neighborhood. What is it going to do? It's going to detriment your community.
And how do they know that? Because they already did it.
They done it to us.
Right? They've already done it. And it's not the first time that it's been done. And so when you take so this bull elephant effect, you take the males out, the young ones run amok. And we had this conversation in the green room. One of the things that I'm really, that I know like I know.
Don't you do it.
Is that,
don't you do it.
Is that men raise men.
So.
Not women. And so having that sweep of the men out of the household back then has created a generational, count the decades, generational problem, and this family court system is just exacerbates the whole issue for our families. So this is not lightweight stuff. This is where are you, Waddell and Woodard? Where are you? I'm asking on behalf of the brother here and on behalf
of the
families. On behalf of the families. Okay?
One more thing, sister, before we go. So the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that finding parents in civil contempt and jailing them for non-payment can be a violation of due process right. Donald Trump hollering that. That's Donald Trump thing. That's what he's saying. if the courts do not inquire first about the parents' ability to pay child support. So what did you just say right there? Everybody that has had your case in a family court, I'm asking for every governor across the state, across the country, to embark temporary stays so that non-custodial parents can get their files, have them reviewed, but more importantly, we need to have these attorneys that's making all this money set up free resources. So if I do find an error, I can come somewhere and get legal advice.
And get it corrected.
The courts, the Supreme Court of the United States says that your due process rights may have been violated. Now, what does that mean? My case, the judge tells me,
so,
Linnell, what are you doing to make money? Rihanna, I just relocated from this place to another place, and right now I'm in between jobs. Well, based on your background, you've been in law enforcement, you've been in bail bonding, you had a beauty supply store. You have the potential to earn this income. I raised my hand right away. What's your question? Potential. I was once a great baseball player right here in Charlotte. I never went pro. So are you still holding me to the same potential?
That's real.
I just can't really, I know they like throwing shots, but I shoot back. There's nothing they can do to me. Nothing. So for every person that's listening on Facebook that's going to review this documentary, this film, go to your courthouse, ask to see your file. And if the judge did not take into account your ability to pay what was ordered, your due process rights were violated. Federal law.
Solutions. That is a solution. That is a move.
You asked me for one.
You got to have them,
You asked
right?
me for one.
Because you can't get to the healing without going to the root and then putting in place what is the remedy. What is the remedy? And you have an administrative remedy right here that you can use if you only will. So this, coupled with the sisters letting go of the reins, is giving up this whole idea of using the family court against the men. Stop it, okay? So that we can come to some peace and harmony and back to the love. Because if you loved them at one point, remember those children were conceived in love. In love. Okay, so where did the love go? And why aren't we big enough to still have a place in our heart where the love can abide so that we can at least be civil to one another without having to have a court in between? That's a condition of your heart. And if your mind is so wrecked, then that's and I'm going to go all the way there. That is a spiritual condition of a reprobate mind, because you won't come to love and create some beauty and make it heal so that our community can come together as a family unit to impact the entire world. The entire world. So I'm extremely excited to announce to you the premiere of Erasing Families, the documentary, March 7th. You can go to eventbrite.com.
Tickets are free.
The tickets are free. The tickets are free. We are looking for your support. We want you to like this video, because you're going to see it everywhere. We want you to like this video, share this video with everyone, because it affects everyone, okay? And make sure that you are in the building on March 7th for the premiere of Erasing Families, the documentary. Brother Linnell, are there any questions that I should have asked, didn't ask, any points that need to be brought out? Because it's a big issue.
Yes.
It's a big issue.
Yes.
So we got to wrap up the show. So how is it, what do we leave out? What do they need to know?
Well, okay, so big topic, a lot of issues, and there's no way that we can tackle them all in one segment. But the most important thing to me is that you had a former sitting president rein in on this family court issue, and now, and more importantly, you've had the Supreme Court make a ruling on the same issue. So those are two big events for me. And again, I'm asking for the governors across the country from March to July 27, which is my birthday, 727, we enact a temporary stay that every non-custodial parent be allowed to go to the courthouse. Because see, the trick usually is if you are in the rears, then there's usually some type of warrant for your arrest. So that keeps us.
So you ain't trying to go to the courthouse?
No.
Okay.
No. So that's why I'm asking all the governors across the state to implement this stay.
Yes.
So that we can truly address this issue fairly. Again, like I said, sister, most people are not like me. I can move around Mecklenburg County because it's me.
Who you are.
Right. But I'm wanting to empower other people that look like me, though. I want you to be able to contact me through Facebook, Dads Against Prison. Shouts out to my cousin Gary Earl, LaTanya. I got t-shirts for you guys when I see you. But we need to really beat the drums loud.
Okay.
And never allowing the issue of shared parenting to be one that's taken second tier. You cannot fix the judicial system if you don't fix its biggest problem, and the statistics say it's family court.
It's family court. You've been watching the Oneness Wellness Lifestyle Show, and this has been an extremely hot topic, and this is not the last time that you'll hear about it. Like, share, move this video around, make sure everyone gets it, and most importantly, remember, March 7th is the premiere of Erasing Families, the documentary. Don't miss it. Thank you so much for watching. I'm your host, Shifa, the natural healing voice of the soul of Mother Earth, and I've been here today with Linnell Davis. One love.